Hi Cheyenne, how you doing? Okay, I've got your presentation up, and I'm a little concerned about where we're at. I think that we're pretty underdeveloped here. I mean, this is final presentation. We only really have one more presentation here, and I don't think we're ready. I don't think we're ready at all. I think that we have a lot to do here. Let me describe what I mean. Okay, so we're telling a story, right? But right now we don't have any written support at all, other than these two paragraphs. That's it. And I just want to kind of draw your attention back to this presentation that I've been using, for example. And I want you to go through this, Cheyenne. I want you to go through this, and I want you to say, am I developed? And look at this as a final presentation, then look at your work and say, how does my work stack up to this work? And really, really take a good self-assessment here, because I think it's really the only way for you to really say, okay, this is where I need to be, and this is when I need to be there. Okay, so note that all of this phase one, remember all of our phase one information, research, and data gathering? Well, here it is all presented in a story. And that's what we're doing here. We're telling a story. Now we go to your presentation, we have the introduction on why Budapest, and you have two paragraphs of why Budapest, and then your writing just ceases completely altogether. It's over. There's no more writing, no more written support, no more verbal support whatsoever for the entire presentation. Now, that's not telling a story, it's showing images. And I think that what we need to do at this point is we really need to tie things together. Let me show you what I mean. We go from why Budapest to architecture. So don't forget all that phase one, geographic location, and transportation infrastructure, safety, all that information from weeks 1 and 2 we need to incorporate in here to start to really build a firm foundation for the story. We go to architecture here, and this stuff is where, as we're starting in a concept design, this is your inspiration, your kind of inspiration, but there's no description here. You're just showing images. What does this mean to the viewer? It's not giving any support to the viewer at all. You're just saying, okay, here's the architecture of Budapest. What does this have to do with your development? What does this have to do with the graphic development of the package for the Olympics in this location? Likewise here, textiles. What do these have to do with what we're talking about here? And the same thing with geography. And we move to the logo and pictograms, and at this point, it looks like you're starting to describe some things, and I was like, okay, but then I take a look at this, and this is placeholder text. So again, there's just no written support. Then we come over here to pictograms, and you show the pictograms, but there's no description of where the inspiration of the pictograms came from. What do they represent? How are they associated with the logo? What are they meant to communicate? And then you have your secondary color palette. But over here, is this where you picked your secondary color palette? Is this where you got the colors from? And if so, describe that in your written rationale. Each one of these pages needs written rationale, every single one of them. For example, you've got your pattern background, but nowhere is it that you haven't told us about it at all. Where did it come from? Okay, same thing with these kind of elements here. These elements here. So I would say that it's really time to put the pedal to the ground here, Cheyenne, and really get to work. I'm willing to take a look at your work before your final submission. But at the very least, we really, really have to start getting this developed. Please do not hesitate to take a look at this presentation and note, the number of pages, the amount of written backup support information there is, the use of the grid on the pages, the use of white space, the presentation of graphics, the presentation of images, the consistency of placement in the typography, and the headlines, and the body copy on each page. And then as well as working into phase 2, conceptual development for concept design for the logo and the branding elements, the general look. Okay, then your 3 logo iterations. Then off to your phase 3 concept development. Design development. And then all the placement. Note every one of these has a description. So nothing's kind of left for the interpretation of the viewer. Everything has written support so that everything is really tied in to the main concept, and and it's also supported with written backup. Okay, then we continue on through the phase 3 design development into the conclusion, and then the citations page, and then note all the placement shots of each one of these, and also note that every one of these is described. Okay, so we don't just place images out. This was described, so that's why this makes sense here. See what I'm saying? Okay, so anyways, that's where I'm at in terms of the presentation. We've got not a lot of time and a lot of work to do. So I do not want to sound discouraging at all, but I definitely want to sound realistic here. So if I can help, please let me. Okay, you know me. I'm pretty active instructor, and I'm hands-on, and I'm more than willing to get my hands dirty to help out. So let me know. Okay. All right, Cheyenne. Thank you.